Before Egypt became an empire carved in stone, it was only a river moving through endless desert. The Nile flowed quietly, bringing life into a land that should have remained empty and silent. Green fields grew beside golden sand. Palm trees rose where nothing else could survive. And from that river, one of the most advanced civilizations in human history was born. Egypt did not grow by accident. It was designed. Farmers followed star calendars long before modern astronomy existed. Priests measured time with shadow clocks. Builders calculated stone angles using geometry that would not be rediscovered. For thousands of years, while much of the world still lived in mud and wood, Egypt was already building in stone. Mathematics, medicine, and cosmic order. Villages slowly became cities. Markets filled with spices, gold, linen, and papyrus. Boats moved along the Nile carrying grain, stone, and ideas. Egypt was not just living. Egypt was organizing. Every flood was predicted. Every harvest was planned. Every temple was aligned. The Nile was not only a river. It was a calendar. It was a clock. It was the spine of civilization. Egyptian doctors were already performing surgeries while much of the world still feared disease as magic. They understood wounds, bones, herbs, and human anatomy. Their medical texts were copied for centuries. Their writing was not art. It was data. It recorded law, science, medicine, taxes, religion, and power. Egypt created systems that lasted longer than almost any empire in human history. And at the center of it all stood the pyramids, not as tombs, but as machines of eternity. Stones weighing tens of tons were lifted, cut, transported, and placed with accuracy so precise that modern laser scans still cannot fully explain them. Their alignments match the stars. Their angles follow mathematical constants. Their construction methods remain partially unknown. Egypt was not primitive. Egypt was advanced. The pyramids were not built by slaves. They were built by skilled engineers, organized workers, and scientific planning. Entire cities existed only to support their construction. Food, medicine, tools, housing, and logistics were planned with precision. This was not chaos. This was an industrial civilization in the ancient world. Temples rose beside the Nile with columns higher than trees. Statues were carved to last forever. Obelisks pierced the sky like messages to the gods. The pharaoh was not only a ruler, he was the axis of order. He was believed to hold the balance between heaven and earth. Without him, the universe itself would fall into chaos. This belief created unity. Unity created stability. Stability created longevity. Egypt lasted longer than almost any empire in recorded history. But even Egypt could not escape time. Knowledge faded. Libraries burned. Empires invaded. Temples collapsed. And Egypt slowly became a mystery carved in stone. But now, artificial intelligence allows us to return, not as tourists, but as explorers of time. We can rebuild cities that vanished. We can walk markets that disappeared. We can stand beneath columns that fell 2,000 years ago. We are no longer guessing. We are reconstructing memory itself. And what we are discovering is shocking. Egypt may have been humanity's first engineered civilization. Not just spiritual, not just symbolic, but technological. Some theories suggest they were energy resonators. Others suggest they were designed to stabilize Earth's magnetic field. While science continues to debate these ideas, one thing is clear. These structures were not simple graves. They were technological achievements. And then, slowly, Egypt's power faded. Foreign empires invaded. Libraries were destroyed. Knowledge was lost. But Egypt never truly disappeared. Its ideas spread across the world. Greek philosophers studied Egyptian temples. Roman engineers copied Egyptian construction. Modern architects still follow Egyptian proportions. The blueprint of civilization was passed on. And now, artificial intelligence allows us to return to the source. We can reconstruct cities that vanished. We can simulate rituals that were forgotten. We can walk streets that were erased by time. We are not rediscovering Egypt. We are remembering it. And the more we remember, the more we realize something unsettling. We are not as different from ancient Egypt as we thought. We still build monuments to power. We still design cities around control. We still worship progress. Egypt never truly ended. It became the foundation of modern civilization. The Nile was more than water. It was Egypt's bloodstream. Every year, its floods arrived with mathematical consistency, renewing the soil and restoring life to the land. Egypt did not fight nature. It studied it, predicted it, and built systems around it. Canals were carved to guide water. Reservoirs were created to store it. Entire farming cycles were synchronized with the movement of the stars. Egyptian agriculture was not luck. It was engineering. Grain was stored in massive state-controlled silos. Food was distributed with recorded planning. Taxes were measured in harvest, not gold. Egypt created the world's first centralized economy. The state controlled resources. The state controlled labor. The state controlled survival. This control allowed Egypt to build on a scale no other ancient civilization could match. Thousands of workers were organized in rotating labor systems. They were housed, fed, treated medically, and recorded by scribes. These workers were not slaves. They were professionals. Entire villages existed solely to support pyramid construction, bakeries, breweries, medical centers, tool workshops, and supply chains operated like ancient factories. Egypt had industrial zones thousands of years before the Industrial Revolution. Its economy was not small. It was massive. And at the center of everything was belief. The belief in balance, the belief in order. When travelers walk through the ruins of Egypt today, they see broken columns and silent statues. But beneath that silence, a story still breathes. A story of engineers who measured the earth with rope and stars. A story of doctors who healed with plants and knowledge. A story of builders who raised mountains of stone with human hands and perfect planning. Egypt was not magic. It was method. It was mathematics. It was memory. And memory is power. Every civilization that rose after Egypt borrowed from it. Greece learned its geometry. Rome learned its architecture. Modern nations learned its centralized control. Egypt created the template of civilization. And templates never die. They only evolve. Now, through artificial intelligence, we are walking Egypt's streets again, but in light instead of dust. We see markets that disappeared. We hear water flowing through canals that dried. We watch builders lifting stones that once defied gravity. We are not just watching history. We are standing inside it, and something becomes clear. Egypt did not fall because it was weak. It fell because time changes faster than tradition. The structures that made Egypt eternal also made it slow. In a world that demands speed, rigidity becomes fragility. The pyramids stand not only as monuments, they stand as reminders. That power must evolve, that knowledge must flow, that tradition must adapt, or even the greatest civilizations become silent stone. Egypt whispers this truth across thousands of years. And now, through technology, we can finally hear it. We can finally see it. We can finally learn from it. And if we listen carefully, we may yet avoid becoming ruins ourselves. Long after Egypt's temples were buried by sand, its ideas continued traveling across continents. Merchants carried Egyptian measurements into distant lands. Priests carried Egyptian astronomy into new religions. Builders carried Egyptian geometry into new cities. Even when its monuments crumbled, Egypt's blueprint remained alive. Civilizations that followed believed they were inventing something new. But in reality, they were rediscovering Egypt. Every pyramid-shaped monument, every solar-aligned temple, every centralized state system, all of it echoes the same ancient design. And now we stand at a strange point in human history. Technology allows us to build digital cities that may outlive physical ones. We store memories in clouds. We preserve identities in data. We recreate history through simulation. We are doing what Egypt once tried to do. We are trying to become eternal, but eternity is dangerous because civilizations that believe they will last forever stop preparing for change. Egypt believed it had perfected order, and when the world changed, it could not adapt fast enough. Modern civilization now risks the same mistake. We believe technology will save us, but technology can only amplify what we already are. If our systems are unbalanced, technology magnifies collapse. If our systems are rigid, technology accelerates failure. Egypt teaches us this lesson silently. Its pyramids still stand, not as triumphs but as warnings. They warn us that progress must evolve. They warn us that power must renew. They warn us that no civilization is immune to time. And now, as we digitally rebuild Egypt, we are not just creating content. We are continuing a message thousands of years old, a message written in stone, a message now written in code. And the message is clear.